Hello friends, this is the fourth part of antihypertensive agent, the drugs used in the pharmacotherapy of hypertension. So in this part we will deal with the beta blockers, ganglionic blockers and calcium channel blockers. So very first part, the adrenergic beta receptor blockers. So beta blockers, these are the most widely used antihypertensive agents in the pharmacotherapy. Uh, Specifically, they are used for the mild to moderate hypertension. The severe hypertension cannot be managed with the beta blockers, but most of the patients which are from the hypertensive category are mild to moderate. Therefore, beta blocker, this is one of the most prominent category, therapeutically useful. They are also used with diuretics and calcium channel blockers. To avoid the resistance to the beta blocker, they are most of the time they are combined with the diuretics and the calcium channel blockers. The combination of a beta blocker and vasodilator have clinically significant antagonism. Beta blockers and vasodilators, if they are used, they give the antagonism. So they should not be preferred anymore. So beta blockers and vasodilators, they are never combined together anymore because they are producing the significant antagonism. So therefore beta blockers are always combined with the calcium channel blockers and diuretics, because not the diuretics, calcium channel blocker, they will produce the synergistic action. Okay, so combination of a beta blocker and calcium channel blockers are always preferred in the pharmacotherapy due to their synergistic effect. Next to it is the propranolol, one of the highly lipophilic compound from the beta blocker category, but it is one of the non-specific beta blocker category. Bioavailability which is 20 to 50%, orally well absorbed and highly lipophilic compound. It is non-selective beta blocker, so caution should be taken whenever the propranolol is given, because it produces the adverse effect in patient with the bronchial asthma and COPD. So in patient with the bronchial asthma and COPD, these drugs are not at all given. So other drugs, other beta blockers like metoprolol, atenolol, they are cardioselective and having the minimal side effect, and therefore they are preferred over the propranolol, because propranolol is non-specific, whereas atenolol and metoprolol, they are highly selective for the cardio selective. Nadolol, timolol, pindolol, they are selective beta blockers and having half-life of 18 to 24 hours. They are not much selective beta blockers, but they have the one advantage that they are having the more half-life. So if the more half-life or more duration of action, if it is expected, then at that time these are the given, but they are non-selective like a propranolol. Labetalol, carvedilol, beta blockers as well as alpha blockers, moderate to severe hypertension conditions. In that conditions, they are given. Esmolol is an post-operative hypertension, and to dilate the arteries and vein, this drug is given. So these are the beta blockers. Then next to it is the ganglionic blocker. Ganglionic blockers, these are specific, non-specific kind of drug. So they block the nerve at the ganglionic region, where we can say that non-specifically sympathetic and parasympathetic, both firing of the neurons, they are blocked. So they are non-specific. So they block the receptor which are present in ganglionic region, NN type of receptor, nicotinic type of receptor. So that which are present in vascular regions, they are blocked by this. So they are tetraethylammonium or hexamethonium. These are the compounds which are from the ganglionic blocking category. They block both the sympathetic and parasympathetic, because at the sympathetic ganglionic region there is no difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So non-specifically they block the sympathetic as well as parasympathetic nervous system. So action of the sympathetic and parasympathetic firing, both the firings will be dropped down. So it is a site specific, not a site specific kind of a drug it is. So it impairs the sympathetic transmission at the blood vessel and decreases the blood pressure. So sympathetic transmission is also decreased over there, and therefore there is a drop in blood pressure. So vasodilation and fail in the blood pressure, it leads to mainly decreased cardiac output, venodilation, peripheral cooling of the blood. These are again the actions of the sympathetic ganglionic blocker type of drugs. So chronic and malignant hypertensions, if they are specifically used, because a lot of complications will be there, and severe hypertension can be managed by these agents only. So whereas specific kind of drug like beta blockers, and they are specifically used for the mild conditions. They are not preferred over here. So there you require a specific working of the drug by 3 to 4 mechanisms and pulling of the blood and etc. If it is required, then at that time ganglionic blockers are, because they are also producing the decrease in blood pressure by vasodilation and all these things. So mainly the adverse effect which are related to it is the visual disturbances, dryness of mouth, constipation, peptic ulceration, etc. These are the adverse effects which are found. Next, a prominent category, it is a calcium channel blocker, CCB it is called as. So uh, these are the drugs which are not working by the adrenergic mechanism. In previous to this, we have seen the mechanisms are related to something where some adrenergic receptor or some adrenergic neuron or something adrenergic synapse, these are involved, targets are involved. Here the target is entirely different. The target is again the blood vessels and heart, but not the adrenergic. Here the calcium channel are the target. So the outcome, whatever the therapeutic outcome or pharmacological actions, whatever we are getting, are very one or more or less similar to that of a beta blocker, but the mechanism is entirely different. This is the principal difference between the calcium channel blockers. The clinically variable opinions are there for the use of this drug, because they are always combined with the others. They are not given alone, single drug there. Calcium channels are not given alone. They are always combined with the other drugs like beta blockers or diuretics. They act on a smooth muscle of the blood vessels and heart. They block the entry of calcium and prevent the contractile or conduction in the pacemaker. So this is the principal mechanism. In electrophysiology we have seen this. Okay, so the calcium entry inside the myofibrils or contractile proteins or pacemaker cells, it has been prevented. So their contraction has been reduced. So due to that, what happens, that the contraction of the blood vessels or contraction of myocardium is reduced, and therefore the cardiac outcome and the dilation of arteries or veins or blood vessels, we will get these actions. So calcium channel work by this mechanism. So principally three mechanisms are there. Voltage sensitive calcium channels are blocked, formation of secondary messenger IP3, and receptor mediated calcium channel. So these calcium channel blockers ultimately made the availability of the calcium less intracellularly by working through this thing, by voltage channels, voltage gated channels, by through the receptor, calcium channel receptor, and formation of a second messenger. So predominant action is a voltage gated calcium channel and blocking the entry of the calcium inside. So reflex muscular smooth muscle contractility, this is one of the side effects related to the calcium channel blockers. So in continuation with this calcium channel blockers, calcium channel blocker prevent the binding of calcium to the troponin, and formation of actin myosin complex is blocked. Okay, this is one of the typical mechanism which is related to the actin myosin filament or contraction, smooth muscle, whenever we have seen in the second lecture, I think so. So this decreases the contractility and negative chronotropic and negative inotropic effect. So contractile force of this myocardial muscles and the blood vessel muscles are reduced, and therefore we are getting the negative inotropic and negative chronotropic effect. Separate receptors are for the binding. So for the binding of calcium, there are separate two types of receptors are there. So one category is nifedipine and all the drugs, whereas the second category is veramamine and diltiazem. So they work by different receptors. So it is predicted by the calcium channels work by the protein receptor. Dihydropyrimidines act on vascular smooth muscle, and their effect on cardiac muscle is very less. Cardipines are selective coronary having actions, whereas nimodipines are selective cerebral blood vessels. Their action is specific cerebral blood vessels. So this is what about the selectivity of these drugs on that particular agents. So diltiazem, veriapamils, these are more selective for cardiac muscle. So they decreases the AC node and EB node conductivity. Oral absorption is very good, but they have the one side effect that they undergo the first pass metabolism, excessive protein binding capability they are having, and also they have the side effect as a bradycardia, that is decreasing heart rate, hypotension, cardiac depression, and AV block. So this is what about the calcium channel blocker. So in next video we will deal with the remaining not chemotherapeutic agent, remaining therapeutic agents which are used for the hypertension. Thank you very much.